We've spent several years working on perfecting racing and developing one-by specific drivetrain components.
The idea of this entire drivetrain is totally different. It really changes mountain biking. Not by saying more is better, but by saying we give you the gears that you really need in the most simple and robust way, by taking complexity out of your bike, as opposed to adding complexity, adding weight, adding maintenance. Maximize the time you spend riding your bike as opposed to having your bike in a work stand.
Shortly after XX1 went into production, and it's something that we had completed from a development standpoint, we immediately started thinking about what was next. And one of the immediate ideas that came to mind was, of course, downhill. As a one-by dedicated bike, downhill bikes lent themselves naturally to the one-by concepts of XX1. The benefits of SRAM's one-by systems are better chain management, better shift quality, better performance on the bike in terms of shifting, better gear steps, and lighter weight. Also, a simpler drivetrain is a better drivetrain. It's more reliable and easier to use. All of those benefits are things that a downhill bike user can appreciate today. Our X01 downhill drivetrain features several key technologies. The first is our proven XO downhill carbon crank. Second is an X-Sync chainring, which is proven chain management from our XX1 group. We use the XX1 11-speed chain, which is also optimized for one-by high-performance shifting, long wear, and maximum strength. We use our mini block 7-speed cassette that fits on a proven XD driver body, the same as what we use on XX1 and X01 11-speed products. Last but not least is our X-Horizon rear derailleur technology. X-Horizon helps the rear derailleur be more stable, shift better, with less ghost shifting and skipping than any other derailleur design. It is a 7-speed specific rear derailleur, it is a 7-speed cassette, and it is a 7-speed trigger shifter. Those 7 speeds are built around our 11-speed XX1 technology, which is X-actuation. X-actuation means that we get more cable pull for every shift that we perform, even than we do on our 10-speed. So we've increased the cable pull when we went to our 11-speed system. We call that X-actuation. Because of X-actuation, essentially it uses 11-speed spacing. So our standard XX1 11-speed chain is used on this system, even though we call it a 7-speed system. It has 7 gears.
The new X01 DH mini block cassette shares the same technology like our proven XX cassette and XX1 cassette. X-dome cluster structure, which is made out of hardened tool steel, which gives us a great wear resistance, and also a stiff and lightweight structure. Before, DH riders used road cassettes with standard 1-2 gear steps, so they had to shift very often to get through the gear range. On a DH cassette you don't need such small gear steps, so we increase the gear steps, so with every shift you accelerate faster. To use the Tantus cock we need a completely new driver body, the XD driver body, which has some advantages. For example, it provides a much directer load transfer to the hub and wheel. On the XD driver body the cassette sits much tighter than former cassette designs. Our new jet black finish provides a high level of corrosion resistance, and it just looks awesome.
Possibly one of the best parts of the system is our X-Horizon rear derailleur. The X01 DH X-Horizon rear derailleur is based on the same proven mechanism that we use on XX1 and X01. It is a rear derailleur designed specifically for one-by drivetrains. It is designed to deal with all of the problems that downhill bikes can impose in drivetrains.
These bikes have a lot of suspension, and while I go through it to the terrain, it might feel very smooth ride because you got a lot of suspension, but actually there's a lot of things happen on the rear wheel, though it moves very fast up and down. That leads to chain slapping, leads to losing control on the chain. And if you've got a traditional derailleur, which has a slanted mechanism, and you hit something, then not only the cage and the chain moves, but also the mechanism itself can move. It's not only moving down, it's moving in, so away from your shifted cogs, so it can initiate a shift up and down, which we refer as being a ghost shift, and it leads to less shifting performance. So if you've got a X-horizon derailleur, this can't happen because the mechanism is perpendicular to the hits. We use an offset cage, means when the cage swings, the upper pulley moves, and the mechanism itself only moves in a horizontal plane.
So over 10 years ago, we started developing a chainring that is intended to keep the chain on the bike without a front derailleur or a chain guide. No one believed we could further develop that to the point where you can ride without a chain guide. So we looked what is actually happening on the chainring that causes the chain to drop off. It's this up and down movement that matters a bit, but it's more the side movement. Looking at that and studying it further and further, it became quite obvious that what's this link doing? This outer link, it's doing nothing actually to help the chain on the ring. So what we did, we added up some material there. Second element is a square-shaped teeth. These make sure that the chain engages as soon as possible when it's moving down. So this high and pointed tip engages here at this moment. As soon as that has happened, the chain is under control. Third element are these tiny features like these rounded chamfers that make sure that the engagement happens fast and smoothly and the sideways control is always perfect. It's really muddy here, and what we experienced, there was some mud buildup in the system. So what we did, we added here some special features on the backside, these mud recesses that allow the mud to actually get pressed out of the contact points, and so even in extreme mud conditions the system works very well. So we continued to tweak it, optimize it. Pretty soon realized, yeah, you can ride that thing without a chain guide, and didn't believe you could tell that story to the public that it's rideable without a chain guide, but now I think everybody has realized that, and a chain guide is in 99% of the cases not necessary. For the lower pulley, it's basically the same story than we have for the chainring. There's this cross-chaining situations on extreme gears, and so the idea was pretty obvious to try the same here on the pulleys, and it worked out very well. X-Sync is a perfect chain guiding mechanism, either on rings or even on pulley wheels. So from the first ideas of making a chainring for urban applications to XX01, where it's more or less used for cross-country applications, now we've seen it in enduro being successfully used in really extreme conditions, and the next step is now downhill, and the sky is the limit.
Driving off of the X-Sync chainring is our proven 11-speed XX1 chain. 11-speed XX1 chain was designed specifically for 1x drivetrains. There was no compromises made in the design of the chain to allow it to shift smoother on front chain rings, which is something that most chains have a compromise on today. The XX1 chain features our hard chrome technology. Hard chrome is basically a finishing that allows the chain to be slipperier. It has less friction in the chain itself, which creates a longer lifespan for the chain with less elongation or stretch in the chain over time. That means your shift performance will always stay as good as it is when the chain is new.
The two goals for the XX1 project was to improve the wear resistance of the chain, and the second, it was to have a chain that perfectly engaged in our X-Sync ring. The hard chrome treatment, it's basically a thermochemical diffusion process where we are able to transform the surface of the parts, creating on the parts a layer of hard chromium carbides. For the perfect engagement of the chain on our X-Sync chainring, the process we developed for riveting the chain also allows us to have a super precise dimension on the outer width of the chain, and this way having our chain fitting perfectly on our X-Sync chainring. The big advantage of the XX1 chain, it's better performance and lasts 4 times longer than a 10-speed chain.
You know, it's interesting to me in that we were able to take XX1 drivetrain, which is a standard stock product, and it was able to win Enduro World Series races, Olympic cross-country gold medals and silver medals, World Cup cross-country, and downhill races. Even were used at Red Bull Rampage for the top 2 runs. So the technology itself the X-Horizon rear derailleur, X-Sync chainring, Type 2 clutch, all of the products that we created for XX1 have proven themselves in such a wide variety of different sports. It's reinforcement to us from the development side that this technology can be used successfully in just about any type of bicycle environment that we envision. Yes, XX1, X01 DH, and X01 are high-performance mountain bike drivetrains, but the coolest thing about them isn't the high performance or all the accomplishments that they've made. It's that it's better and it's accepted because of its simplicity. We've eliminated moving parts, we've eliminated complexity and things off of the bicycle to make it lighter.